welcome to another exciting episode of the Plumbing 101 show. My name is Willem. I am your host, and in this episode we're going to chat about the different industries that interlink with the plumbing industry and the cohesion between those two industries. Now with me for this conversation, linking in, is Mr. Richard Baillie and Mr. Rudolph Louw. But just before we get into the juicy details of this conversation, let's have a look at some industry-related news. Let's cross over to Naomi.
Hello and welcome to the news. My name is Naomi. According to Just Property, sellers should make sure their compliance certificates match the necessary safety requirements before listing a property for sale. According to Lawrence Homan of Just Property, when a property is about to be sold, the seller is obligated to designate licensed service providers to ensure that the property is in legal terms of safety requirements within the plumbing and electrical industries. Certificates of compliance, or in short COCs, are not only there to protect the homeowner. It's important to remember that through this certificate, any tradesperson can take ownership of their work and therefore be held accountable for said work. For example, in the plumbing industry, a water installation COC is needed upon inspection and will only be issued upon certain criteria, such as no plumbing defects, no stormwater connections running into the sewer system, and that the water installation complies with national building codes and local regulations. This means any non-compliance issues will be addressed directly by the city with the plumber. Meanwhile, despite accounting for only 10% of municipal customers, offices utilize over half of all the water supplied by local government. In a water-scarce country like South Africa, businesses must continue to focus on minimizing water usage to save money, which further indicates why quality plumbing makes good business sense. This is ample incentive for businesses to use water wisely. Many organizations are tapping into the abundance of the knowledge that exists within the professional plumbing industry, ranging from plumbers to manufacturers and suppliers of new plumbing systems to help save water. Professional plumbers are at the forefront of water conservation, and due to the rising costs of water and electrical bills, the country has seen a growing demand for green and sustainable plumbing solutions. And in doing so, plumbers keep up with new technology, which has proven to be quite efficient in decreasing water and energy consumption. Moving right along, Plumlink, a prominent plumbing merchant and member of the Bidvest Group, is assisting with the development of more than 40 rising plumbers by providing them with the important business management skills. Some have been in the business for a long time and have joined the program to refine their business abilities, while others are still new to the plumbing business world. With this project, Plumlink is displaying its unrelenting commitment to the evolution of the South African plumbing industry. The company is expanding its already extensive reach in the country to provide access to high-quality plumbing goods. That's it for now. Let's take it back to studio. I'll see you just now.
Thanks, Sister Naomi, for the latest news, or at least some of the latest news of the plumbing industry. So we're going to jump right into our conversation. And like I said, linking in to join me for this conversation, one of my guests, Mr. Richard Baillie. Now, Richard Baillie is the regional manager of IOPSA of the Western Cape. He also serves as an auditor for the PIRB. Richard, thanks a stack, and welcome. Thanks for joining me on this for this conversation.
Yeah, thanks very much, Willem. I'm not a manager. I'm not a good manager. Yeah, but I am the regional chairperson of IOPSA Western Cape currently. That's also a temporary position. So yeah, it's all good. But nobody's ever confused me with a good manager.
So I had the title incorrect, Richard. It's not regional manager, it's the regional chairperson.
That's correct, yeah.
Richard, all right, so today in this episode, we're talking about the cohesion between the different industries that overlap or interlink with each other, especially industries that interlink with the plumbing industry, because it doesn't operate on its own or stand on its own. It does have an effect on other industries, and other industries have an effect on the plumbing industries, and sometimes they work very closely together. So,
Yeah.
just to kick off our conversation, what is the relation between the construction industry and the plumbing industry?
Yeah, Willem, I mean, plumbing is part of construction. You know, it's hand in glove. The construction industry consists of a multitude of industries, standalone industries that contribute to the whole called the construction industry. I mean, if you look at any building, it consists of from steel fixers all the way through to concrete, to plumbing, to electrics, to bricklaying, to carpentry, to roofing, to waterproofing, to painting, to interior decorating. It's endless. So of course it's integral. I'm biased. I am a plumber, so I will say quite easily that plumbing is one of the most critical parts of any building that is going to be occupied, any building that is going to be used by human beings. Plumbing is one of the most critical parts of it. And the relationship between the construction industry and the plumbing industry, unfortunately, has been rocky. And I say that not in any kind of negative sense, but I, there is almost a perception in this country, unfortunately, and I've said it before in various talks that we've had, Willem, that plumbing is the stepchild industry and not really considered to be an important one, not really considered to be anything that would warrant design changes. For example, in a designed building, if a building's been designed already and the plumber is now asked to come in, there's a big reluctance to want to adapt the design of the building to suit the plumbing systems. So it is a rocky one, but it's a vital one. And there is, of course, hand in glove working together constantly. There's constant interaction, and one can't do without the other. Let's put it that way, Willem.
I want to add to what you've just said there, Richard. In our previous conversations that we've had, we've mentioned, we used a phrase that we said, it's as if plumbing is in some ways or in some situations or instances sort of an afterthought. You have people from the construction industry looking at your engineers and your architects sometimes don't take into consideration the requirements for plumbing work that must be compliant to certain standards, or the requirements at least of certain standards, and they focus more on things like aesthetics and those kind of things. And then when the plumber arrives on scene on site to do his installations, they struggle to sort of make their work compliant. And I think that is what you're referring to, that it has in some instances been a little bit rocky and shaky. But the fact is, I reiterate what you said, is that plumbing is one of the most essential things in any piece of construction, in any piece of work, a building for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on. It is the case, and I mean we can sit here and give countless examples. I can give countless examples and generic examples, examples of the type of thing that will happen across a dozen buildings if you go and look at them now, where exactly what you've said is the case. The design of the building has unfortunately not taken into account the requirements of a plumbing system. And now the plumber is forced to install something which is non-compliant, which might not sound like much, but when you look at the consequences of it, you're talking about health and safety issues and even worse. So it is a. But look, it's an ongoing relationship, and I mean this is why we're here, Willem. This is why organizations like the PIRB and IOPSA exist. There is constant interaction and discussion, with all trades, and not only the construction as a whole, which is a conglomerate of things, but I mean there's interaction along many lines, which is great. And I truly do believe that in the last 10 years and in the next 10 years to come, the plumbing industry will find its place, find its rightful place in the bigger scheme of things.
I mean, there's a broader aspect or a broader sense or a more holistic way to look at the plumbing industry. You use the word conglomerate of things, and I absolutely agree with you, because in the construction industry, there are the plumbers, there are the engineers, there are your architects, you have then also your construction workers, your builders. They also work in the construction industry.
I'm a construction worker. I that's what I do. That's what I've done for my whole life. I mean, you construct. You're part of the construction. So that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Richard, we spoke about the fact that, the relation between sort of other role players within the construction industry and the plumbers sort of have a little bit of a rocky relationship at this point in time. But what can be put into place? Are there measures that can be put into place, things that can be considered to make things flow better between the different role players in the construction industry, so that they work better and easier with the plumbers?
I think to try and, like I do with anything, this is just my personal take on it. When I'm faced with a particular problem or issue, I always try and identify two things. What is the objective? Where are we going? What are we trying to achieve? And so, and in order to, and then what's blocking us? What's the obstacles? So the objective for me, with regards to a relationship of plumbing with the construction industry and in particular building design, should be that we talk on the same page and we agree on the same things and we all agree. So what are the obstacles? And we can talk for hours, but I think the key thing for me is two things: communication. So I'm not convinced that the designers of a building or the decision makers when coming to design a complex and the people that make decisions, monetary decisions, have been well enough informed as to the necessity for correct plumbing. So I think that communication could be better. And then I'm going to put the ball back into our court, the plumber's court, where I'm going to say the word respect or lack of respect for our trade. But the ball is in our court. And I'll tell you why, because I believe firmly that once the plumbing trade, once we ourselves start to become proud of ourselves and consider ourselves right up there with the best of the best in any construction project, that is when we will respect ourselves, and that is when others will respect our industry. So once we have uplifted ourselves to a point where there is no question as to our value, our expertise, etc., then things will start to change. And so it's no use saying, yeah, but he wouldn't listen. You look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, why is it? Have a look, and how do you view yourself? And it starts with us, and I include myself in that. I've been a plumber for many years, and I know what it's like. I know what it's like to have to negotiate with very, very powerful, highly placed individuals on a construction site, and you're here up to your elbows in grease and mud and grime, and you're talking to a guy in a suit. Yeah, there's a and you're trying to convince him that you're right over him, and there's a discrepancy, and there's a disrespect, and I don't mean that in a negative sense. It just is. There's a disrespect there. So so we need to overcome that. But we will.
Richard, we spoke about the different trades that play a role in the construction industry and that work closely together with the plumbing industry. And certainly electricians are part of or one of those role players that work cohesively or in close relation to the plumbing industry in the construction industry. And I mean, the same rule applies to that you've just mentioned now, viewing the plumber as a professional tradesperson, and hence the fact that organizations like the PIRB exist is to re-establish that perception and to let people know that plumbing as a trade is a professional trade, right?
Yeah.
But I want to get back to the fact that we spoke about plumbing sometimes being seen as an afterthought and that it's not taken into consideration before other things are being put in place, and then at the end of it the plumbing needs to be installed. And one of those reasons is that plumbing sort of have to comply with certain regulations, certain requirements of applicable standards. Can that and is that the reason why people like electricians and plumbers need to issue certificates of compliance?
Well, the need for a certificate of you're absolutely right. Both of those trades are, I mean, they're very, very similar in the sense of their roles within a construction project. You know, they're similar in the sense that the routing of pipes in walls are the same. You know, they both work in ceiling spaces. They both but both of them are utterly vital professions in a building, and when you get it wrong, it's a problem, and it's a dangerous problem. And therefore, there are, you're right, a whole host of rules and regulations surrounding the installation of both electrics as well as plumbing. And so in that sense, we are very, very similar. And because of the problematic nature of getting it wrong, you need to assure Joe public out there that it's right, and hence the need for a certificate of compliance. Without a certificate of compliance, you dead in the water. And I'm talking about a certificate of compliance that means something, that has recourse. And you know, the PIRB certificate is in fact from the professional body. You've got recourse. You know that that the registered guy or girl is involved in the continuous professional development, the CPD situation. This is how you identify somebody that is engaged in the industry and actively engaged and continuously engaged. It's not just somebody who learned from his uncle 20 years ago and is still applying those practices today. The world has moved on, and the CPD, especially, and amongst other things, we talk about the auditing, but the need for an accountability and that recourse and that assurance that for the Joe public out there is vital. And I don't know how else to achieve it without the COC, because that's the pathway of recourse and that's the pathway of assurance.
The fact is that the COC, the Certificate of Compliance, isn't purely a piece of paper that is handed I mean, because then the plumber could just as well write on a piece of paper, sign it, put his business stamp on it and hand it to the consumer. It is the process that goes with that COC, everything that is associated with that COC. So number one is, yes, it's him saying, my work complies. I herewith certify that my work complies with the requirements of the applicable standards and regulations, etc. But at the same time, also, he opens himself up for being audited and inspection done on his work by his peers, by people from the industry, qualified, trained people to come and inspect his work to see whether it is indeed compliant. And then the fact that if there's not, there is recourse, number one, for the consumer, but also it is then a learning process. When the auditor goes and inspects, finds something wrong, it becomes a learning process for the plumber, for that electrician for that matter as well, but for the plumber to say that, listen, you did do something wrong here, but it's a learning process, it's professionally developing yourself, continuous professionally developing, to say that we as an auditor found something wrong, now you are going to have to go and fix that.
Yeah, 100%, Willem. I mean, you can liken it to, you said COC is only as good as its background value, right? And it's like I can take a piece of paper and write the exact same words on it and present it as a qualification from a university, which is just from my printer at home, versus the actual qualification. It says the same and it looks the same, but it is not the same. And that's the crux of the matter. You've got to ask yourself as a consumer, what do I want? What is the point of having a certificate? If it's just a piece of paper, you've got to have that backup system.
Richard, I want to go into an ad break, and I have about 1 minute before I have to go into an ad break. But the last question I have for you before I go into an ad break is just one, that what role what is the relation between the insurance industry and the plumbing industry?
Well, again, I mean, it's hand in glove. I'm going to say a large portion of household insurance claims are plumbing related. So for the plumbing industry to have a good rapport with the insurance industry and vice versa, and a good understanding, is vital. I don't know the statistics, but you're going to if you look at the numbers, the plumbing faults in a building insurance situation will form a very large part of insurance claims. And it stands to reason that a plumber, any professional, but we're talking about plumbing. So plumbers have the right to earn a reasonable wage. And so the relationship between the industry, those two industries, is vital if we are to thrive and survive as a plumbing industry. It's one of the biggest income streams for a lot of plumbers, and the pricing should reflect the level of expertise that these plumbers are delivering.
I think also the fact that some insurance role players from the insurance industry require that COC. In other words, then for that matter, they require a professional plumber to also go and do the insurance job.
So the vehicle that through which they are able to ensure compliance and legitimacy and competence is that COC. That's for sure. It's unfortunate that there are some insurers that do not care for the COC or require it. It makes no logical sense to me, but that's not for me to judge. But certainly the COC would be the vehicle to ensure ongoing compliance, etc. And it's so many benefits. If you look at it, not only today but tomorrow and in the next 5 years, you're uplifting the whole thing, and this is the vehicle to do it. So it's vital. It's vital.
Richard, I want to thank you for, again, valuable information that you always share with us on our podcasts and on the Plumbing 101 show. I believe that's it between the two of us for now. And once again, thanks a stack for your time and effort in having joined me for this conversation.
Only a pleasure, Willem. Thank you very much. Pleasure being here.
To our listeners and our viewers out there, we are going to go into a quick ad break before we continue our conversation with Mr. Rudolph Louw. Don't go away, we will be right back.
Good day, how can I help you?
Hi, I'm here to log in my COCs, but I seem to be having an issue with my computer.
No problem, but did you know that you can log your COCs using an app on your cell phone?
Oh, what app is that?
It's called the App Plumber. Do you have a smartphone with you?
Yes, I do.
Oh well, let me show you how it works.
Not only can you access your PRB profile on the App Plumber, but you can also earn CPD points while exploring the plumbing industry in the palm of your hand. Download the app from Google Play Store and join thousands of other happy users.
Welcome back. You are still tuned into a lacquer episode of the Plumbing 101 show. And in this specific episode, we are having a conversation about the different industries that work cohesively with the plumbing industry. Now, one of those industries that work cohesively with the plumbing industry is, of course, the retail industry. I mean, plumbing supplies have to come from somewhere. And with me for this part of this conversation, I have Mr. Rudolph Louw from Buco. And Rudolph, a warm welcome to you, and thanks a stack for your time and effort in joining me.
Thank you, Willem. Thank you for having me. Nice to be on your show.
So, Rudolph, I have quite a few questions that I would like to shoot to you, but before I do, would you mind to just give a brief introduction of yourself to our listeners and our viewers, please?
Thank you, Willem, and thank you for having me on the show. Yes, I'm Rudolph Louw. I am in the retail industry now since 2002. I'm working currently as a branch manager for Buco Hardware in Klerksdorp. Buco Hardware is a hardware company also supplying plumbing products, paint, building material, and we also manufacture roof trusses in the store. And that is in a nutshell what we do. We supply the market out there, the plumbers, big contractors, and we also work on the tenders. That's what Buco does.
Rudolph, I want to ask you, one of the other aspects that works closely in relation with both the retail industry and then, of course, the plumbing industry is the insurance industry. It's very strange, and to some of our viewers and listeners out there, they might find it strange that these three actually interlink with each other or work closely together. So in what way does the plumbing industry and the retail industry have a sort of an interlink with the insurance industry?
Well, to start, a property owner or someone that owns a house, for example, they will then have insurance on the property. If, for instance, a geyser is out of warranty, that client, which we call a client, will then contact the insurance, and the insurance needs and must have a registered plumber on their register that they can call out to the client to go and investigate. And then also that plumber, like we said previously, can issue a COC certificate to verify that when he installs that geyser that burst, for example, he did it according to the regulations, he followed the correct process, and the insurance are then covered. So where they interlinked is where they actually service the same customer, and the correct COC certificate is then after fitment issued again.
And again, also from an insurer's side, they like to be sure of the fact that whoever they call out to go and do the repairs or replacements for that matter, again, it boils down to the fact that they are not only using a professional and that a person that can really do the work correctly according to the requirements of standards, but also that the products that they install is of high standard, high quality, and that it meets the requirements of standards.
That is correct, yes. That's why we only work with SBS approved suppliers. That can also, when something goes wrong, let's say within the warranty, then the client will go to the plumber and the plumber will come back directly to us and we will then assist the client.
Rudolph, I want to ask you quickly, everything, we're talking about products and we're talking about the quality of products, but everything evolves and technology specifically evolves, right? So there's always new types of materials that come out or that are developed or engineered, new types of tools, new types of plumbing products that are advanced because the technology evolves and so do products and materials that are used. How do new products, when something new comes out that is a new technology or even made of a new type of material for that matter, from your side, from a resale, you stock these new products. How do they work with old systems, with an old plumbing system?
I want to say, look, I said now we only supply SBS products, but there is different types of products from a lower price point to a higher price point with a 1-year warranty to a 10-year warranty. So we can offer a wide range of products to the client, but it all boils down to the manufacturing of the product, the material used inside the product. So it is still a SBS approved product that we keep, but we've got a wide variety that the client can choose from. Now, in the older days, for example, they used galvanized pipes inside the houses. Later on, It moved on with a new technology where they used copper tubing and polycop pipes, and then later on plexi multi-layer pipes. So these are all the same sizes still. That never changed. So it's easy to tap into an old pipe and convert that now to the new technology. Or other people will, where the galvanized pipes were laid inside the walls and floors. The new technology now, you can actually use multimeter, I think is the correct name, but they can find the leak within a 300 millimeter radius and just replace that piece. Or the clients these days in the older towns with the older houses, they will refit all the plumbing without chasing out the old pipes. So they would just lay from the main line, they will just tap into and then lay down the new system with the new technology.
And certainly there are things like couplings that would match a galvanized pipe with copper tubing for that matter.
Yes, that is true. That's why I say they tap into the old line and then they convert it, let's say, to a copper pipe or a polycop pipe. So that's the nice thing about the new technology, yes.
And that's also one of the things that I wanted to ask you. My new question is, certainly you've got to make sure that you've got everything available. So I've got a 2 and a 1 question. My next question to you sort of would again go back to the fact that we've reiterated, and you yourself have reiterated the fact that you stock high quality products, in other words, products that meet the requirements of standards. But why is it so important to stock quality products? And why is it important to ensure that you have stock available, and a variety of stock for that matter? I mean, we did just say that, you have to have different things in place so that when it's an old system, you can make it compatible with the new types of products and materials.
Let's go again back to the homeowner. Let's say now he's got a problem at the house where a geyser burst. That plumber gets called out today. Now, that lady wants to go and shower tonight or bath, and she doesn't want cold water only. So that plumber needs to make a plan quickly. So that's why we have to have stock on the floor ready for the plumber or the homeowner when they need it. So we make sure that we've got ample stock inside the store. And when it comes down again to the quality of products, like I say, SABS, and it's got the warranty, but also the backup from the suppliers. So if the product might have a small glitch or something, we let's say the geyser, and it's within the warranty, then the manufacturer of that geyser will then send a technician the same day to go and investigate the problem. With the good quality products that we keep, it's sometimes not the whole. A lot of customers are uneducated with the detail of the product. They are not specialized plumbers, but they want to fix the problem themselves. So with the products we keep, it's sometimes only a valve that needs to be replaced, or a washer that needs to be replaced. And that's why our guys on the floor are trained to guide the customers, ask the correct questions, and then sell them the correct products.
Rudolph, I quite liked the part that you said or mentioned about your guys giving a little bit of guidance and explanation of finer details to the purchaser, especially to the installer. These guys are professionals. These guys are the experts in their field. They do know everything. They know the requirements of the standards, what type of products they should install for certain installations. But again, we spoke about the fact that there are new technologies, new types of materials that come out, and it's constantly evolving. So there will always be something new. And I liked it when you said, because that forms part of the relation building between the retail industry and the plumbers. Just that little bit of extra rapport, giving them that guidance and finer details. Rudolph, I want to thank you for your time, your effort, and having shared with us the information from the perspective of the retail industry and how they interlink with both the insurance industry and the plumbing industry. Thanks for your time and effort.
Thank you very much, Willem, and thank you for having me.
So to our listeners and our viewers, we are drawing to a close of this episode, but before we get into the final bit of our episode, let's just jump into another quick ad break. Don't go away, stay tuned in, we will be right back after this.
The PIRB Master Plumber Recognition Program has officially arrived. As an essential service to society, there must be constant growth and development within this important and ever-changing industry. Developed by the PIRB, the Master Plumber Recognition Program has launched as a new PIRB designation, allowing industry champions to take the lead. Skilled and experienced plumbers equipped to take the lead, enroll today to start your journey in becoming a recognized PIRB Master Plumber.
Welcome back. You are still tuned into the Plumbing 101 show. In this episode, we were having a conversation with two guests about the different industries that interlink with and have cohesion with the plumbing industry. Now, we had a look at the retail industry, the construction industry, how they interlink, as well as we discussed a little bit about the insurance industry and how they interlink with the plumbing industry. Now, we are drawing to a close of this episode, and I would like to thank you for your time and your effort in having tuned into this episode. Don't go away right yet, because we do have some more industry news for you, and we're going to cross over to Naomi for that. I'm going to say goodbye, over and out from me.
Welcome back to the news. On the 8th of September, the IOPSA Plumber and Installer Evenings are set to take place in KwaZulu-Natal and Eastern Cape. For more information, make sure to visit the IOPSA website at www.iopsa.org. And in this past month, the PIRB Roadshow visited Kimberley on the 29th of August and Bloemfontein on the 31st. We would like to thank our hosts Buco and Berlasal for their fantastic staff and very warm welcome. We would also like to thank the plumbers that came to see us. It was a pleasure to meet you and to engage with you. So coming up Northwest, the PIRB Roadshow is on its way in this month of September. We cannot wait to see you. Coming soon, the Plumbing 101 show will feature a quiz section. And like the podcast, you can now earn CPD points for watching the show and answering the quiz for each episode. So don't miss out and keep your eyes peeled for the next episode. And just before we go, remember, if you are a skilled and experienced plumber equipped to take the lead, enroll today for the Master Plumber program. You can start your journey and become an industry leader. That's it from me, Naomi. Until next time, goodbye.